A common misconception in the last 2 decades of comics, movies, and shows of Captain America is that because he's an American comic book character, that makes him only an American hero. Good morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. My name is Aiden, and today we're going to be talking about what Captain America actually represents. This is just an absolutely absurd take that I've heard because Captain America represents the American dream, not the country or the government. At least what the American dream used to be. The original quote was described as a dream of a land in which life should be better and richer for everyone with opportunity for each according to the ability and achievement. I've seen the hate around Anthony Mackie's Captain America because of his quote-unquote anti-American quotes, which is just so wrong. Firstly, Anthony Mackie didn't say anything about being anti-American. He said Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. It's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. And all of that is true. Captain America has always been about a man who doesn't like bullies in this world. Steve Rogers was literally always the little guy with a big heart, and that's why he chose to become Captain America. The first Avenger was a beautiful Captain America movie because we saw what really made him a hero. Why he was chosen to be an American super soldier and why he was chosen to represent America's fight against Germany during World War II. It was because Steve was a good man. In the first appearance of Captain America, he is literally fighting fascists. He literally punches Hitler in the face in the first comic that he appears in. Steve Rogers is a patriotic man. He's an American, but he was born to lower-class Irish immigrants. Loving your country doesn't have anything to do with your heritage. That's my main complaint with people calling Sam Wilson Captain African American. His ideals are the exact same as Steve Rogers. He was a veteran just like Steve, and he is an American citizen. Him being black has nothing to do with how American he is. If you're going to call Sam Captain African American, then you might as well call Steve Captain Ireland. Sam Wilson is a good man, and that's why he's Captain America. Captain America has always been a good man, and he may not have always made the right choices, but he's always done everything that he could with the options that he's been given. His choices are always based on what's morally right to him. In Avengers Age of Ultron, there's a deleted scene that honestly shows you everything you need to know about Steve Rogers as a character. After watching this and seeing how others not in America perceive Captain America, Steve doesn't wear his helmet. After fighting fascists your whole life and then being called one, obviously you would want to distance yourself from that picture of being an evil masked fascist. And now he's just a man who's fighting for those who called him that. Captain America the Winter Soldier is an interesting movie and storyline. A lot of people have it regarded as their favorite Captain America movie. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty good movie, though I gotta be honest, it's far from my favorite. This movie does a great way at portraying how Captain America and his influences on others can bring out the best in people. The same goes for Captain America Civil War, though this movie really isn't a Captain America movie despite the title. Cap still proves that being good can bring out the best in all the others around you. Though Tony was on the opposite side of Steve, he still tried his best to live up what would be best for all the other heroes and people affected by the Sokovia Accords. Captain America is a morally right character, which means that they will almost every time make the decision that he deems will help the most people. America isn't a government, it's the people. Just like how Asgard isn't a place, it's about the people. Captain America reps all the people and all the little guys. That's what really makes Steve worthy of Mjolnir. He chooses right from wrong as often as he can. He's a good man, and a good man is what Sam Wilson is. There are 2 Captain Americas that I haven't mentioned yet, but these are just from alternate timelines and from alternate stories. One of those is Peggy Carter. Peggy in the main timeline has never become Captain America, but in alternate timelines she has. In each of those alternate timelines, she may even surpass Steve as Captain America. From what we did see of Peggy, she was always respected by Steve, and she always respected Steve. Even before he became Captain America, she loved him, and he loved her. They both shared ideals, and they both knew that they needed to make the hard decisions for humanity. After Steve first gets sent into the ice and the war against Hydra and Hitler is over, Peggy becomes an agent where she's treated as less just because she's a woman. However, because of her strong morality and pursuit of justice, she's quickly promoted to the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. In other timelines where she becomes Captain America instead of Steve, we can see that she still embodies those core aspects of her character and what Captain America should be and what Captain America should have in their character. Leadership, justice, independence, and freedom. Whether she's Captain America or Agent Carter, she will always embody what the shield and what the title stands for. After all, without Peggy in Steve's life, would he have turned out the same way that he did? I don't think so. He may have still been able to embody Captain America and carry the shield, but I don't think that he would have been able to pursue justice in the way that he did without Peggy's help or even any of her guidance. Peggy's a tactical genius in all timelines, and she always still embodies Captain America whether she holds the title or not. However, that second Captain America that I was talking about is Bucky Barnes. For non-comic readers, it may come to a shock to you that Bucky held the shield for almost 4 years after the events of Captain America Civil War. The comic, obviously. Steve dies and Bucky steals Steve's shield from S.H.I.E.L.D. because he doesn't believe that Tony will honor Steve's memory, showing again that Captain America will deny the government if he doesn't trust them. Bucky wasn't chosen to become Captain America. He took the mantle on just to make sure that someone worse didn't. Now, in the MCU, he didn't take the role of Cap, but he still helps Sam prove himself being worthy of being Captain America. If there wasn't a Bucky Barnes, I don't think Sam would have ever become Captain America. Maybe in the comics, the change would have still happened, but in the MCU, Sam Wilson would have never understood what it meant to carry the shield. Even with the underutilization of Sebastian Stan in the MCU, we can still see that Bucky Barnes embodies both aspects of Captain America that I've been talking about. He puts others before himself, and he isn't a government mercenary. Alright, so from here on out, there will be a lot of spoilers for the Thunderbolts movie, so you've been warned. In Thunderbolts, despite Bucky playing more of a side role than a mentor, he still does bring out the importance of forgiving yourself and moving forward after your mistakes, and really helping the other Thunderbolts characters grow. I don't think you can talk about the character of Captain America without talking about the two characters that were most mistreated and disgraced from the title. Of course, I'm talking about John Walker and Alexei Shostakov, also known as the US Agent and the Red Guardian. I've always thought of John Walker as a fairly interesting character that wasn't properly displayed before in the MCU, but with Thunderbolts, they really dove deep into his traumas and characters. Of course, they show that he is a good person, while also not being a good person at the same time. They show that there are those morally gray characters that can do heinous actions and still have some fairly good reasons for why they do those things. Now, some will make the argument that John Walker should have stayed Captain America in the MCU, and that Steve has done just as bad things as he did when he was Captain America. However, my biggest gripe with people saying that is that John didn't represent what Captain America should. He was a government mercenary. He cared more about what the government needed than what his relationship with the people should be. He failed the people most when they needed him, and he let his anger get the best of him. Knowing that he would be disgraced, he still went after the people who murdered his best friend, showing where his morals lie. He would put his family and friends before his status, and he would push his responsibility as Captain America aside for his own agenda. He would take his anger out on the criminals that he was fighting, instead of just letting justice take place. Now, I'm not saying that Steve hasn't let his anger take control of him before, but he doesn't let it control his actions, and he always goes back to his morals in the end. John's unfortunate weakness and misguidance left him to be used as a pawn. He thought that he needed a super soldier serum to be strong like Steve, but he was already being used by the government and left to rot when he screwed up. John is great as the US agent, a government mercenary, a soldier. John is shown to be a great man. The difference is, he lets his anger take over where Steve wouldn't. John killed a man surrendering where Steve wouldn't. John could have been a great Captain America if he wasn't ostracized by Bucky and Sam before he did anything wrong. But maybe that's what makes it different. John was ostracized and he lets those feelings take over. Would Steve? Would Sam? Would Peggy or Bucky even? No. They would take the bad with the good and they would push forward, not letting that anger take over them and not taking it out on those around him. Alexei has a similar story to John, and this character is explored throughout the MCU so well. Alexei was the Red Guardian, a super soldier, but not an American. He wanted so badly to be the man that Captain America was. His love of his country and his position as a government spy put him in the perfect position to be just that. He was trained, and he became the Red Guardian, the Russian equivalent of Captain America, but he didn't have the morals of Captain America. He needed to be useful, to be great, to be a weapon. While Alexei thought what he was doing was right, he thought he was putting his country first in order to get closer to peace, when in reality he was just being used. When Alexei did go against his country, instead of just following blind orders, he was sent to prison and he spent years reflecting on his behavior and his wrongdoings. Later, when he escaped from prison, he helped fight against the corruption of the Russian government. But after the events of Black Widow, he was left with nothing. His daughter was dead, the woman he loved was preoccupied, and his youngest daughter, he felt didn't want him to be around. He later found out in Thunderbolts that she did want him around. She needed him more than ever, and he wasn't there because he felt so inadequate. He faced those issues in the movie and did what he could to make up for the past, and he became a true hero. By the end of Thunderbolts, I believe that if Alexei wanted the title, he could have been a fine Captain America. But with all his problems before, it's good that he wasn't. He was a great soldier for his country, but he wasn't a good enough man in the end for the title. Sam, Bucky, Peggy, and Steve all embody putting the people and their countries before their government or their own feelings. And in the end, Captain America is a good man, not a perfect soldier. He doesn't do everything right. He influences the heroes and people around him. He's a leader and always will be for the people. Against the bullies, a good man always stands out. Whether it's Steve, Bucky, Sam, or even Peggy, Captain America will be a better man than most others, and that's why they're all worthy of the title. But with that being said, I thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out all my other socials on the screen, as well as my other videos. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you all for watching. Okay, bye now.